Alright, so it is currently the 4th of April, which is supposed to be on my midterm tests. Actually, not my fucking midterm tests. Okay, so it is currently the 4th of April. This is actually at the end of my semester. I'm supposed to be handing assignment and also to be dealing with different projects and all this shit. And here I am, I'm like fucking recording this video because Lord knows why, but I just want to make a record and put it into my channel just for my future references. I think in this video I probably just want to talk about how I completely didn't expect that I have to take the step. I sort of rewatched some of the older video that I made, which I said about how getting into university is like a brand new start, and I would like to try to begin that non-binary route, try to explore myself a bit more, since I've been living in a, identity that I have been doing, like how people tell me what to do. And I believe that university would be a very good time for me to really try something new, and as well as to see what I have been missing, something like that. And basically, in this second semester, I started dating, and it really encouraged me to dive deeper into that non-binary route in a way that I did not anticipate it, that I will be doing that fast, because personally I think I am a very, let's say, not a very risk-taking person. Like, as much I'm very ambitious, I'm still a very, let's say, shy, and as well as like a conservative person. At least this is how I would describe myself. The way how I see dating is that, like, when I have to get to know someone that I value in a more personal level, I always find myself that that I have to somehow shun away a certain part of myself, and I think that it's just unfair to that significant other of mine. Based on my previous experience in with some other people, I just felt that I'm not being present or not being there, and if I didn't address that part of myself, which is that gender dysphoria part of myself, and primary and secondary school time, it's my time that it kept on coming back recurrently, and I repress it and suppress it every time. And also during my gap years in 2023 and 2025, and therefore I just found, instead of fighting it, maybe I could actually explore it a bit more and give it some time and space for it to let it grow, because I just find myself that I'm not living in my body in a way that I feel comfortable with. I don't feel comfortable in my own skin. Instead, I just felt that maybe I can just not be there. I mean, mentally, like I am there physically. So when it happened, when I met that person that I value very much, that inner voice of me that tells me that that part of you have to tell the other people, because if you were to make decisions such as like socially and medically transition, it's something that also involve your partner too, because when you're transitioning, it doesn't only affect you as an individual, but you also affect how the partner would view you, and also how they would react, and also how that transition is actually essentially both of us experiencing that transition, and we had that conversation because before we even really start dating, when we were like talking as like quote unquote normal friends, we sort of had an idea and the kind of a situation that I was in. Like, she knew that I was non-binary because on the first day that I was introducing myself in a course, I cringingly or equally told people that, oh yeah, anyway, by the way, I'm non-binary, and she just found it very weird and therefore did not want to like find me at first. But later on, she said that she sees something within me that is worth learning more about, let's say. And after that, I just felt that I felt heard and felt seen in a way that I cannot really imagine, because she see me as an individual with certain qualities, a certain, well, maybe drawbacks at the same time. So I just felt that I felt seen from her. And after many things that's happened in between, there came a time that we just thought that it might be a good idea to start dating. And you know, when people said about how dating itself would have that initial honeymoon phase, but it wasn't a honeymoon phase at all at this moment, because there was like a challenge that happened that really already give us a lot of things that we have to worry at the same time. But in some sense, the process itself, it encouraged me to think about my own situation on that gender dysphoria, first of all. Second of all is how it also affect others when this get involved in our relationship, and also it give us a lot of let's say potential area for us to dive deeper and explore how things actually are and its essence, you know. And I did not really expect that I would start doing that transitional part and also dive deeper into the non-binary part of stuff, because last year I was like telling me that nah, I'm not dating, because it's not like, I just thought that I want to focus on the education thing, my academic things, and also my personal development first. I just don't think that it was a very appropriate time for it. But now, here I am. We are sort of we are like not sort of, we are dating actually. But you know, part of me just told myself that actually it's not that I shouldn't see it I shouldn't like treat it seriously, but more like I see it very important, very significant, because it's a very personal thing. And I just found myself, if I were to date people, that I somehow would have to disclose that part of me in a way that I wasn't, well, initially prepared for. It's a very case by case thing to do, you know, like everybody's have their own situation in their relationship, right? I just didn't expect that I would have to deal with that non-binary part, that dysphoria part of me, that quickly. And I spent 21 years of my life so far using different ways, different methods, and different coping mechanism to manage my own dysphoria in a way that I don't want it to affect me, because I'm like essentially dealing with something that I know that I cannot have the ability to do it at that moment, because different factors, like I was worried about how my family would see me, how my friends would see me, and also what does it mean to me, socially speaking, or also I'm not financially capable on doing that at the same time, you know. And I just thought, I always thought that I would just put it in the back of my mind and not deal with it, because I wouldn't say it's a can of worm. It's like, it's something that once you open it, you will face the consequences, and you either would ask yourself, would you like to go back in because of you just not being prepared? But at the same time, knowing that choice of going back in would felt even more isolating and even more anxious each time you do that. That thought is just like very, very stressful. Essentially, when we start dating this few months, she and I sort of inspired me and also encouraged me to learn more about myself in that sense, in a way that is trying to learn, accept that part of me. I don't know what happened to my light, but anyways, let me see if I could. Okay. Because the thing is that I've read a lot of stories about how there are a lot of families where the husband turns out to be trans, and while they have children, decide to transition, and how essentially the stories always goes with the same narrative of how it either ruined the family, caused the wife to divorce, ruin the children, all these things. And all of these concerns are valid at the same time, but also it not necessarily will represent myself as what would happen if I was the one being the one who's transitioning while I have children. That thought of me doing that, it's just no, there's no way I can do that. Therefore, when we start dating at the same time, it just forced me to rethink on what kind of person I would like to actually grow in before I actually consider all this marriage thing. Do I want to date as a quote unquote cis man, or someone else, you know? And that thought exercise of I don't want to live that, it just, in some sense, just makes me want to take the initiatives to learn more about it, instead of shoving it back to my shelves, or suppressing it as I've done all these years. I would say ever since that we start dating, and in between, also before we're dating, oh fuck's sake, there were a lot of times that we have conversations about it, and also I have my own conversation within myself about everything. And in terms of the dysphoria thing, I knew that it has always been part of it in my life, actually. And since I get into university, and also before it, I knew that I have to face that one day, but I still find my ways to not let myself be disturbed to a large extent, because I just don't have the tool for me to move on to the next transitional stage of it. And in terms of dysphoria, they still exist, but I was able to manage it in a way that sort of take its toll of, dissociating from time to time, and also being a bit, let's say, mentally unwell. And ever since I start dating, and I have to look deeper into my own personal values and my own thoughts, all these things, all these emotions, and identity-wise, it was a very big breakthrough. Like, I would admit that I have done a lot of things that caused me to jump out of my comfort zone, to ask some difficult question to myself, and also discuss it with my partner. And that process was very exhilarating and very lively, but also at the same time, I have never experienced stronger dysphoria, in terms of social dysphoria, and also body dysphoria, that strong of an extent, ever since I started dating. And it has affected my health, both physical and mental health, to a very large extent. And at the beginning, it sort of caused me a lot of doubts on, like, if this is something that would be recurrent. But the way how I feel things is like, me being a person who is very used to, like, suppressing and repressing a lot of my emotions and thoughts, it's sort of logical to think how, when you start dating, and me being a person that I believe that my partner deserves to know that part of myself before we start dating, instead of, like, lying to her. That process of trying to make sense of it really just caused me to explore that part of me. And the process of itself, it just makes everything even more dysphoric and even more difficult and challenging. But when I get my head back up, I realized how much of a progress that I've made, actually. And I actually felt quite optimistic that I've done that, regardless of all these things that have been happening. The thing is that I was questioning myself, is this something that is normal for people to experience? Like, when they're just starting to date initially, just a couple of weeks, a lot of the past traumatic experiences, all this worry, different anxious anxiety that is linked to your childhood experiences or stories, maybe other emotions, insecurity, all of these things, to people like me and also my partner, who I won't really feel much about what she has experienced, but she also experienced a lot of complicated backgrounds. Like, actually, if she's listening to this audio, it would be an understatement, but yeah, but we both experience in our own way, in our own story, different complicated story. And you both, every symptoms of I wouldn't say symptom, like everything, every worry, every insecurity, low self-esteem, or that sort of a delicate nature of our own mind, of our own self, would surface itself when we begin to date. Because when we start dating, we are slowly accessing to that vulnerable part of ourselves, which is something that is vulnerable. And of course, I feel honored that we could both do it, but also I felt very scared of not wanting to be hurt, and also not wanting to hurt that significant one of mine. I guess this is something that is more related to people who are dating and both happens to have their own complicated backgrounds. At least from the story that I heard from people who are like quote unquote more normal, let's say comparatively, they typically would have this like conversation maybe few months after they literally start dating. But for us, it's much more complicated. It's more like that there's the one specific thing that happened that caused us to basically explore a lot of our own personal values and also our own story, past experience, layer by layer by layer. If it's not it was like not that person that exists, I believe in terms of the pacing of everything would be actually quite well. I'm not blaming that guy though, but I mean, I actually just thanks him for that, because it really encouraged me to think my own values and philosophy in a way that I didn't think that I would have to do, which is something good actually. Although of a shitty person that I think he is and could be, I just still think in terms of like personal growth wise, like he's still part of my journey, right? So this is how I would see it. And I guess my message for this video is like that to those people who have like complicated backgrounds, both you and also your partner, and when you guys are good friends and at one point you guys decided or plan to start dating, just be prepared that due to your complicated background or maybe traumatic experiences that leads to you to having trust issues, low self-esteem, low sense of safetyness, security, all these things would just surface immediately, and probably will not experience that initial honeymoon phase as like how you would expect people to experience. Instead, if you and your partners are comfortable enough to already show vulnerable, even if you guys are friends, this one, I guess it would just show you the sort of the bare bone of both of you. So what I meant is like based on your experience or your complicated thing that leads you to who you are, someone who might be have anxious, insecure, having trust issue, all these things would just comes out. And especially if you're someone who is very, very hypersensitive, very neurotic, always very worried. All of these things will just surface all at once. At first, and probably, it might be very overwhelming to both of you. As I'm saying this, I'm not sure if that stage is end yet. But I guess this is also a sort of a challenge for both of us, like a sort of a test to see would you be defeated by that voice that you had, or you want to overcome it and trying to have faith and take that risk, take that faith, great leap of faith to know more about the person. And if both of us were able to pass this test, I think maybe that is our turn to go that quote-unquote 3 months honeymoon phase, where we can actually try new things, get to know more about each other, and also at the same time acknowledging like that part of yourself, that vulnerable part of yourself, can be slowly be dealt with in this honeymoon phase, and also honeymoon phase or beyond, or maybe it wouldn't even stop if we were able to spend the time to learn how to cultivate a very good communications, maybe they can continue. That passion can last. Who knows? As I'm saying this, I'm saying to myself, because this is actually what I would hope. And then like now I'm like not. You can't see my eyes because I'm like closing my eyes to speak. Because it's like a fucking ghost. I'm actually very excited and also very scared. Since I told her about my non-binary and also my gender dysphoria and also my stories or the walls that I told her, I asked her multiple times, so there's like no going back, right? So I have to continue going out the closet and slowly learn and grow from it, right? I guess I want to take the risk. And at the same time, I also would like to learn more about her at the same time. I'm actually quite shocked at why why would she even choose me or decided to try things out, because me being a non-binary person, especially to her, which she is a model, although she, in terms of someone who is like quite liberal, maybe the families are a bit more conservative or more traditional in values, like why in the hell would she even choose me, and would she even take the risk? There are multiple conversations about she fearing that she might be compromising a lot, or maybe not compromising, but she has a lot of stakes, and she's like a lot of stakes that potentially she would lose, you know. Some people said like love might blind both of us. I just don't want her to feel that she's being blinded by love or empathy. If I would ask myself what I want to tell her, or what I want to tell her, is like she's so worried about how my transitioning stage could potentially, quote unquote, cause her to be the man in the relationship, or basically have to take care of me. Which a lot of them, we have talked about it a lot. And they are not invalid reasons. Not invalid reason at all. I just want to tell her that I'm, and also I'm the individual myself. I have to be responsible in dealing with my own thing. When I have to have the glow up, where she actually just found it, like she would raise it about like when I'm going to glow up multiple times. I always will tell soon, but at the same time, I don't want her to burden or be the one that is responsible to do that, because I know that I am capable of doing that. And the reason why I just found it difficult is just like everything just come all at once, it's very fast, and I open up myself in a way that I did not anticipate doing that soon. But in terms of like opening up, coming out of the closet, being non-binary, trying out different outfits, different style, different hairstyles, changing the way how I look, how I act, all these things is very overwhelming to me as an individual. And she being a very empathetic person, of course she would have that urge to help me, but I would like to tell her that it's not your responsibility to do that. I would have to do it myself at the end of the day. Of course we could support each other at the same time, but I just don't want you to be burdened by it. And I truly believe that I have my own way, and if I need the help I will learn how to ask for it. And hopefully if everything works well, then actually I could see how I can navigate it. And I'm excited about it, and I'm willing to take the risk to take responsibility on myself. And I also hope that it applies to you too at the same time. I guess this is the video. I more to say. Yeah. Bye.